all spontaneously got quiet. I guess it's time to start. I'll start with our introduction in just a minute. A little bit of business. So this is Allison. She is our Chief Lunch Officer. She's the one that is responsible for sending your emails about lunch. What are we having today?
We are having sandwiches from Lynn's today for lunch.
Not the most gourmet, but the second most gourmet. So I mentioned lunch in part because we're going to cut today short a little bit by about 10 minutes so that we can go to lunch at Decorworx and come back in time for people who have 1 o'clock classes. So if you, we also have some rides. If you park far away or you don't have a car and you're planning on going to lunch, will you raise your hand? Okay, just this gentleman over here. So you can go with Christina or Landon. They'll be at the end of the hall here. And so everyone else we'll see you over at Decorworx. Okay, so that is it by way of announcements. Are there other announcements?
She had a question. So is everyone invited to this lunch?
Everyone can sign up for lunch, but not everyone did. So lunch is open to anyone in this class, but we are full for this lunch.
Okay.
So yes, good question. Thank you. For future signups, watch your email.
I was going to say, is everybody getting an email? That I see no's. So if you're not and are interested, come by so we make sure that we have a proper email on file for you. It's just going to be whatever's on your student profile. So if you've changed it or have a different one you prefer, make sure you come by and see us.
Great, thank you. So our speaker today is Tenia Wallace. Tenia is president of Decorworx. Decorworx is a Decorworx is a family-based business that is based here out of Cedar City, and they have a nationwide and tremendously positive reputation for being able to transform the grocery shopping experience. That might sound like hyperbole, but that is literally what they do. They also have a new and growing dimension of their business where they transform ordinary businesses into captivating brands as part of their brand consulting. Tenia's success has not gone unnoticed. She has been named to the Utah Business Magazine's 20 Under 20. She has also received the Progressive Grocers GenNext Award. She serves on the SUU School of Business National Advisory Board. She is on the ROFDA National Advisory Board, that is retailer-owned food distributors and associates.
Wow.
Advisory Board. Everyone knows ROFDA. She's a proud graduate of Southern Utah University. Away from the business world, Tenia is a mother to 2 adorable children, and she has quite a fan base here. If you're with Decorworx, please raise your hand. Really an outstanding business. I'm so excited for you guys to get to know more about it. I had a lot of things I was going to say about Tenia. I'm just going to summarize it by saying I think the world of her, and you're about to understand why. So please welcome Tenia Wallace.
Okay, I am super excited, and if I bounce around a lot, it's not because I'm nervous, it's because I have so much I just want to spill out. So if I'm going too fast, everyone has permission to just slow me down, which sometimes needs to happen. The impetus for this presentation is business is hard. So we're going to cover that over and over. So business is hard. And it's okay. So business is hard, it's okay, because you can't have growth without challenge. So like Tyler said, I'm Tenia, so it's like Tenia. So if you see my name written, you know how to say it. And I am the president at both Decorworx and Rainbow. We are one company that is here locally. At the end, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. Okay, don't laugh at my Instagram. I haven't posted since 21, But take a picture of this QR code, because those that send in questions, and it's on Instagram, they are going to be entered in to get some giveaways at the end, which are Kick A. I have an inspiration workbook, which Tyler would know about this, so I'm giving away the tools, which is really cool, about how do you create your strategy for your business and brand it. So this one is a good one. And then I'm giving away books, and the biggest thing is we are launching a base camp in May to where we work with people to come in and figure out their business, and I'm going to be giving 1 ticket away for those that enter in here. So use the Instagram. We're going to have a wait list for this other one, because that is where we're going to gather all the questions, and I will answer everybody's questions on Instagram later in case we don't get to it here. So the overview, which is super exciting. At first, I'm going to walk you through who we are. Decorworx is kind of this random name. We have a building here, but people don't really know what we do locally. So I'm going to explain it. We're going to talk about growth in a very different way than probably what you've had in here. I'm going to walk you through what this has looked like for me. We're going to talk about principles for you and your business, and then at the end, we'll do the Q&A. So we are, like Tyler said, our business is family owned. Shelly, do you want to stand up? Though there's 20 or 30 years difference here. So Shelly and Jeff, who were my parents, they started it in 1996. You know, clearly 90s khakis. So we are nationwide, which is a really cool thing for Cedar City. So we're in about 46 states right now. We do a lot of work in Louisiana. We do a lot of work in the East and in the Midwest. And we're always in about 7 states at a time. We have served over 2,000 different partners, which is who we call our customers. So these are groups that we bring in, we go to them, but we really help innovate their businesses. One that you would know here is Lynn's. You would know the police department here, Thinking Brody's, State Bank. Who else is local, Katie? She. So there's a lot of things that we've done branding-wise here. And then this is one that we work with the largest distributors in the nation for food. And our projects range from about $5,000 to $1.5 million. So they can be small and then quite intense. So what do we actually do with all of that? We meet with businesses, we help them figure out their strategy, which is one of the Kick A prizes right there. There's a workbook, and then we take that and we take everything on where they're wanting to go, we put it into branding, then we put it into signage and decor. So basically, wherever a logo is, we help business owners know what to do. And in the grocery industry, that's a lot of business owners that want help to develop it. And outside of grocery, it's where it's super competitive. So we have carved quite the niche in this full service business. So things that you can see on the big scale here, any Harmons that you go into, who here has been to a Harmons? Okay, like almost everyone, right? So as soon as you pull into the parking lot and you see the exterior of the building, that's where our work starts. You see that going in, the colors on the floor, the paint on the walls, the photography, which is awesome. All of the lights that we do, everything that is designed is what we touch. We help craft that experience. And we've been working with Harmons for almost 20 years. And we do this that we do with Harmons across the nation. So really cool. Does that make sense? Awesome. So I'm going to go into how I came to be in this position. What did it take? Because everybody's wanting to run a business, right? Or start their own business or do something with business. That's the passion. And I'm going to give you 2 perspectives on it. So first is I started working in manufacturing when I was 16, worked through school, learned how to build some really cool things. I worked in manufacturing for about 8 years going through school. Then I went in and I became a designer and our creative director. Which this was the turning point for me. I wanted to be a designer through and through forever. I bled design. Every book that I got, every dream that I had was to be a designer. I got to travel to see a lot of cool things. What are people doing? What is different? What matters? How do you actually appeal to customers? Then I made a huge leap. I got in and I became the COO for the company. And at this time, we renovated our buildings, which those that are going to lunch will see. It is fantastic. It's here on Main Street. It's 2 buildings down from State Bank, so it's that old brick building that's historical. We won a ton of awards. I started public speaking, and now I'm on several advisory boards. And then the last, I've become president within the last year. It was our highest profitability ever, thanks to my team. I get to choose more of what I'm working on, and I travel across the country meeting with partners. So what I did here is I told you all of the really cool things, the things that you would see on someone's Instagram, someone's TikTok, in brief conversations. They're like, what do you do? Because this is what you think it is. When you're running a business, you think it's all of this money and it's all of these speaking engagements, which are super exciting, and that's it. But it is just a small portion. This is like the cool stuff that fills it in. But if you remember, business is hard, and it's okay, because there is no growth without challenge. And I want to say that again. You can't have growth without challenge. So going from one spot to the next, it just does not slide easily. So in front of you, you should have a packet. There's a few that don't, but you have this measure your mindset. And in this, Katie, can I see yours? In this, on the front, you'll see there's some main components here. The top one is running a business, and then you have 6 other ones. There is a grading scale on each of the main components that your business needs to run well. The first one is, how are you actually running your business? This one starts out at 5% and goes to 100%. There's a lot to know, and especially if you don't know what you don't know, right? So this here, use it as a reference, because I'm going to show you. So now I'm going to go through, I told you the cool stuff. So I started working when I was young, and I did not want to work every day, right? I never felt like I was good enough to do it well, and there's so much pressure around small mistakes. I remember one time I used the wrong knife when cutting out some aisle markers, and I got in so much trouble, and I remember thinking, I can never do this. This is so hard. And then I learned. Then I wanted to be at the front of it. So then I started working while I was in college, and I always felt split with my time. So whoever's here that you're working and you're going to school, you never feel like you can totally dive in at school and never totally in your job. You're always split. So that wrestle of how you're prioritizing, that's hard. It's a challenge. Then at this time, I started having massive anxiety attacks. So I was going to school full-time, working full-time, had gotten married, and I just felt the pressure of, how am I ever going to survive this? I had a baby at the end, which was a blur for a couple months, and I felt really unsure if I could lead others as I became the creative director. I remember standing up for my first meeting, and I was shaking, because I'm like, I know you guys are laughing because these guys were in my first meeting. And I was shaking because it's like, how do I do this well? How do I start to lead others? And there was all of this turmoil, and then I told myself, just move, read, dig in. From there, when I went into the COO, we had a big meeting with all of our leadership, because I was the creative director at the time, and I was voted into this role as we were doing some organization switch up. And my father, who is the CEO and was at the time, told me he didn't want me to do it. And so I was crushed. I was at this meeting, and I'm like, yes, I want it. We're going to go forward. And he's like, you shouldn't do it. And I'm like, no, I want it. And he's like, but you don't understand. I'm like, I totally understand. I'll get a cool office. I'll get to make decisions. You know, there's so much I want to do with the culture. And I'm like, I get it. I just was the creative director. I understand. And I did it. And I got in, and I was very overwhelmed by the amount of work and responsibilities, because instead of just one area, it was all of the areas. And it became most of my life for about 4 years, every night working after work, working on the weekends, just trying to pick up the pieces. So it was all the time. And I went through my first layoff, which I'll show you how that went. Well, actually, it's not this. I went through my first layoff, and it was traumatizing for me. And I thought, I will never go through this again. The amount of challenge that I felt there, it was immense. So what did I do? I wanted to have more responsibility, right? So then came president. Within my first year or half a year, I thought we had lost almost $1 million due to incorrect books. And that was immense. That pressure never took off. At this time, we lost about 50% of our team. So this is 2 years ago, right when all of that COVID and everyone was switching jobs. And our team, you have to have a lot of skill. So with 50% of our team turning over and that feeling of discouragement every day. And then we had partners being upset because we were falling behind. We lost team members, and our product was literally coming apart. We'd use a lot with glue, and the glue was failing in between the product. And so I had this, and at every point, it was challenging and it was hard. So if you look at your thing, I was at about 5% right here. This is when I was getting in, learning how to lead people, learning how to manage my time, learning how to create projects, and learning about supply chain, right? Then I come over here, and this is when it got more intense. Okay, what do numbers mean? Why does it matter? And then coming into this 50% and saying, okay, I've really got to build a team that knows how to do things, but where do I need to grow? And each of these points was this huge growth period. It took a lot of effort. And it was okay. I cried a lot, but it was okay because the amount of stress that I could handle from one spot to the next, I kept growing and I kept getting better and better. And then here I know I have a whole career left to go, but there's so much that is exciting. I'm thinking about, okay, well, exciting and daunting. What is going to come next? How am I going to learn? And then what are my steps? So when you're looking at it, and if you're at 5% and you just had this big challenge come in, when you are feeling pressure, it is okay. When you feel the anxiety, when you feel almost the depression on, I can't do it. I see what others are doing. I see what these entrepreneurs have done. I want to be there. I just can't break through. It is okay. It is part of the process. That struggle is where you actually teach yourself how to move. Because if you don't have the struggle, you're never actually going to propel into jobs and positions that are bigger and better and more fulfilling for you. So embrace the struggle. And now I'm going to show you a video, which I've showed it in this speaker series before. And it is when I was going through this part of going from 20% to 50%, so about 4 years ago. And I was struggling and just trying to muster how to move forward.
So Angela was just asking, so how was your meeting? And then all of a sudden it hit me. I feel so inadequate at this job. I don't know why I'm doing this job. It's like I'm trying, and I know, this is so late. This is so late because I'm tough and I can do stuff. And when I put my mind to it, I can figure it out. But I've been putting my mind to it now for a couple months. I still can't figure it out. By putting me in this position, are we just doing the company? I mean, yeah, it's all great to say succession, and we're going to have it for a couple generations, but shoot, what if I really can't do it?
Okay, so time over time for me, I have had that feeling of, what am I doing? How do I do this? This is really hard. And that can be all the way back when I was at the 5% to the 80%. The challenge is always there. And it's okay. If you shrink away from the challenge, that's when you've just given up, right? But by embracing it and saying, this is a good thing, I'm learning, even though at the time it does not feel like a good thing. A couple of years later, I think I spent 2 weeks when I thought we lost all of this money, I remember every day I had that feeling of crap. What am I doing? How am I keeping, at the time we had over 60 jobs, how am I keeping all of these jobs running and enjoying it? But what did it do? Is it moved my ability to shed stress. It moved my ability to trust my team, to hire better team members, to know right people, right seat, to really enjoy the work even when it's not going well. So by having the struggle, in turn, I became better and stronger and more excited for the future and more capable of handling bigger and more hairy problems. So when you're encountering it, it is okay, even if it feels insurmountable. So what do you do with all of that? Number one, which is one of my favorites, is you're being curious. So when you are feeling like you don't know where to go, first you've got to find somewhere where you're interested. You've got to read, you've got to poll, you've got to ask questions. You've got to put that little flame inside and let it be awake. Be curious about something. Number two, which is my favorite, is stay inspired. And this can look in many different ways. This can mean you are going to conferences that help open you up to new ideas. This could be faith-based in that you're trying to be open to direction. This could be that you're trying to get inspiration from others, but this means I'm pulling in what I'm seeing and I'm trying to incorporate it. I'm trying to keep the fire alive. And the next one is know it's a process. You're going to grow, and then you're going to move forward and hit a roadblock. You're going to grow, you're going to hit a roadblock, and it never stops. The gritty ones are the ones that end up sticking with the business and running it, because it is just over and over and over that you're problem solving, that you're gathering your strength, and you're just continually learning. And then the last one, after you've done these, because this repeats a lot, is differentiate. You as a person and you as a business. So as a person, when you know that you're being curious, you're staying inspired, you're working on yourself, you're moving up on that list, you're saying, I'm okay to be different. I'm okay to talk different. I'm okay to present different. I'm okay that my business is different. So I'm going to jump to step 3, which is it's a process. So in front of you, Katie, I'm going to use yours again. When you're looking at where do I go next? How do I benchmark? You look at the strategy. How well do you know strategy? How well can you incorporate strategy? You're going through branding. Brand is huge. As you're developing your businesses or working within a company, branding is such a big component because it tells other people who you are as a person and your company. This gives you benchmarks. The same with setting, which is what your space looks like. And then you've got digital, people, process, and then the last one is product. So how are you growing with knowing products and really digging in? So this is not an overnight thing. This is a year by year. You're adding, you're researching, you're going to different educations to try to get better because it is a process. Okay, I recommend on the back, this is how we do it, but on the back of some sheet, measure where you are today. So if you feel like running a business, you're at 15%, you're right there in the middle, write it down on each one of these, because then in 6 months, you can see, wow, I really have made progress. I really have dug in. Look at how much I'm growing, though it's been hard. So constantly just keep pulsing, where are you? And anything else on this one? I think that is it. So the main part of knowing it's a process is giving yourself time to learn and then benchmarking. So the next one is differentiate yourself. And here is one of my favorite things. Better isn't better, different is better. And this was said by Sally Hogshead, and we use this all the time. For me specifically, this hit hard. I can be quite bouncy and loud and moving back and forth and full of energy. You should see me at trade shows. It's crazy. And how many other presidents or CEOs of companies do you see just like skipping down the hallways, right, to a business meeting? And I always felt a little insecure, like, how do I be different? Because everybody else that I see is super successful. They're stoic, they are power, they demand presence, right? They're very decisive, and how their countenance around them is just very different than what I've always had. And so one thing, and I'll tell you about these guys, one thing that I really leaned into is after about 10 years and feeling that it's okay to be different, that's when I started getting involved in different things. Once I accepted, I can be bouncy, I can be loud, I can be, sometimes a little, not have as much of a filter as I should. That's when I started getting more involved on boards. That's when I started doing more speeches. That's when I started building in a team that we created passion together. So if you don't look like Bob Iger, it is okay to be a Kevin Hart, right? If you don't look like one leader and you look different, that is good. Use it, enhance it. The more that you are embracing who you are, and it can be totally opposite, right? You can be quiet, you can have, you can be more about the details, and you can be slow. That will still make you stand out. By embracing who you are and being different and being okay with that, that's where you start to open a space for you. So, yeah, that one's a hard one. It was a hard one for me. So, going into differentiate your business, the same thing. Better isn't better, different is better. So if you have a similar product as other people, what do you actually do? Now I'm going to use who has ordered crumble? Right, huge group. Who has been to Gideon's in Orlando before? Our team here. Okay, I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to hold up. Who do you think Crumble is trying to attract? Who's their target audience? Women? Okay. What else? Who are they trying to bring in? Kids? Okay. What are they trying to tell you about them? Cookies. Okay, they make gourmet cookies. What would you say their core values are? You've got 3 colors here, 3-ish colors. What would you say about the company themselves? Okay, simplistic. What do you think that they hire for? What do you think their culture's like? Really think about it.
I'd say it's kind of like a chill culture based on what their branding looks like.
Okay. So we're thinking it's a little bit more laid back. It's a little bit more chill. We start looking at all of their stuff here. They're trying to create connection. They're super convenient, right? You can be in a meeting or have a late night. They're really leaning into that. We're a party food. We want to be at all of your events. So now I'm going to show you Gideon's. And what I didn't say is they're both gourmet cookies. So they both have the exact same ingredients, right? Neither of them are different. This is Gideon's. So Gideon's has this gargoyle. Andrew, will you demonstrate for me?
Demonstrate what?
Well, come stand up here. Yeah. So Gideon's has this darker feel. It feels more fantasy. You can see. Yeah. Do you want to want to just take some things?
Toss the cards down.
Okay, so if we are looking at Gideon's, and I'll walk you through because no one else has been here. So it's in Disney Springs. You walk up, you see this huge line of people, like 200 people and they're standing there and you're like, what is going on? You come around the corner and you see this big black building. You're like, what is in it? These giant French doors. And you want to go into it. So there's a sense of intrigue. You go and you're like, okay, how long's the wait? And they're like, actually, it's a virtual queue. These are the people that have been called up. And you're like, crap, that's the people that already have been called. You have to get in the virtual queue in the morning. So if you do that, you go into the virtual queue, you wait your hour, you walk in and it opens and everything on the shelves is this gargoyles. It's dark. They've got these creepy creatures, which is fantastic. They have all of these ingredients and everything is like a theater.
Pumping the smell.
Oh, and the smell is amazing. Yes, yes. Yeah, it does. And it's like they've displayed all of their cookies. So, who do you think Gideon's is trying to attract? Who do you think? Yes. Goth, okay. Those that love black. I'm a diehard. I love black. Okay, who else do you think this appeals to? Curious. I love that. Okay, those that want intrigue. What else do you think that they are doing that's gaining attention? Yes. Okay, creativity. Who has seen a cookie company with a gargoyle on it? Only these guys, right? Did you have another comment?
Yeah, kind of like a trend or user experience.
Yes, escapism, which is a total thing that they're doing. They're trying to get to where you're in the story. So when you are looking at these two businesses, you have, where's my phone? You have Gideon's. Oh, it's not going to go back. So you've got Gideon's and you've got Crumble. Same ingredients. They are both cookies. They're both ginormous cookies. They have flour, they've got sugar, but two completely different companies. Crumble will be at your door 15 minutes, right? Gideon's, you're getting in a virtual queue and you're waiting for 2 hours. Crumble is, I'm gonna be at all of your events. Gideon's, we don't deliver and you can only buy 2 or 3, I think is it 3? 4. You can only buy 4 at a time max, right? Crumble's like, take a whole box, buy all of them, you know? Gideon's is really leaning into storytelling. Crumble, they just want you to come in and then come out quickly. So same product, but what they did is they leaned into who they were. The same as you leaning into who you are as a person, 2 different voices, right? Your company needs to feel the same as this. If you have a Crumble next to you, be a Gideon's and be excited about it. If you have a Cotopaxi, be something totally different like Patagonia, right? Like choose to lean into other areas and niche down. And it is good. That's where you'll start to break through. Just like as a person, once you lean into who you are, breaking through now becomes easier with the process that you're going on. So embrace it. Ooh, and I'm close. Okay, so to recap here, all of this stuff, business is hard. It's really hard. But it is okay, and it's actually a lot of fun as you start breaking through. You can't have growth without challenge. There is so much excitement when you find that now you can do things better. You can do things faster. You've got other people on your team who are complimenting where you're going. This whole feeling of, yes, it's hard, and it's okay, and I lean into it, it takes off some of that burden of having to do it right every time. So with that, I'll leave with that, and then I'll go into the questions and Q&A. Oh, yes, I'll go to it right next. So that is the last message. I don't know, we can do applause now, and then I can go into questions. Okay, thank you for the unexpected applause. Here, I'll give you a couple minutes. Ask a question. This can be anything. I've had people ask before on being a mom, running a business, going to school, anything from what is helpful, where big moves had made. And then those people that put in the questions, my squad here, we'll select the ones that have some of the giveaways. So Shayna's watching it, and you'll read the ones coming through.
You didn't mention who's better. Who's the better cookie?
Gideon's is the better cookie. Okay, any ones on there?
Is this the spot where it's going?
Let's see, let's go.
Activity?
Oh, right here. Okay, so go through, yell out a question, and
Wait, do you guys want to look at it? Do you want to do that one? Yeah.
okay, what's the question?
Go ahead, Katie.
During the hard times you experienced, how do you keep moving forward positively?
Okay, so during the hard times, how did I keep moving forward positively? At times I didn't. At times I was a really big grump. But going back to that whole step, it started by saying, okay, I'm not feeling too jazzed right now, but what is that kernel of something that I can get excited about? And that's the curiosity. That for me, it was, I'm going to open up my National Geographic, I'm going to look to see what's out there, which then rolls into something. So if my fire felt really small, I had to find a way to stoke it. And as soon as I stoked it, then it started getting easier.
Okay. Let's see. For your business, do you use a differentiation strategy to set you apart? So kind of go into what makes us different.
Yes, yes we do. So, how do I talk about this? Okay, it is something that we help partners with as well, but we have what we call an engine. And this breaks down our whole business strategy onto one page. And everything on here helps me figure out how are we different? What are we doing to make moves that are different from our competitors? The more that we know who we are, the more we don't really care what other people are doing because we're being a Gideons. We don't care to meet crumble, right? We're really leaning in. So this is a tool which I can send out, whoever wins this last thing at the end, but this is the information that helps me really figure out how are we breaking through the noise.
How do you find a niche?
How do you find a niche? Okay, Tyler, we went through this whole finding a niche thing a month or so ago. So it's a process. What we have done is there's a couple of things is first you start writing out who is everybody that you are trying to attract. What do they look like? How do they sound? What are some personas? So you start to get them in your brain, and what we do is we map them out into a quadrant and say, okay, who's bringing us the most money? Who's bringing us the least amount of money? And what is the main decision that they're doing when choosing us? So for us, if people want to have more customization, they want to work together and collaborate, they tend to enjoy us more and spend more with us because we are now partners. So if you have, someone yell out a company. What is a company that either you have or you're working with? Anybody have yes?
So I have my own business. It's a sculpting business.
What?
A sculpting.
Sculpting business. Okay, those that choose to work with you, why are they working with you?
So they work with us because we have unique molds.
Okay.
We make our own molds and we have our own unique secret kind of designs for them.
Okay, so they want something that's really unique that they can't get elsewhere. So how I would start to look at your business is saying, okay, who's spending the most money? Is it homeowners? Is it people that are into more art? Is it, and I'm totally just like pulling this out of my ear. So is it people that really are trying to create a collection, like they've got a boutique? So I would start to group all of those people together and start to track, okay, how many of those do I have? Who is not making me money? So who is sending me a message but actually isn't actually doing anything? And I would start to group them down below. And then from there, I would start to say, okay, here's my niche. Because everybody's focusing here, I'm going to travel deeper and deeper and deeper with this group of people and then explain myself that way. Does that make sense? And if you've got more questions, I can explain it more too. That one's jam-packed.
probably the last question.
Oh, the last one. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Read another one. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Let's see. Okay, how do you balance being a mom with such a big career? That one, after doing our parent-teacher conference last week, I would say I was not doing it well. So and what I have called before is it's not balance, meaning I don't have 50 pounds over here, 50 pounds over here, and I always try to keep it even. I call it harmony. Some months I am really heavy into work. So from the beginning of January till the middle of March, I'm gone for almost 3 weeks out of the month. And that is not balanced towards family at all, right? So I mean, that is very travel, very work heavy. But on the other side, it's saying, okay, how am I going to have harmony in the next couple months? Maybe we're going to do a vacation together. Maybe we're going to do more things in the evening. Maybe I'll take them out of school for a day so that we can spend time. We're going to do things on the weekends, and I'm going to be super present because I know I just took up my bandwidth for 3 months of traveling. So if I'm always trying to do the same here and the same here, I go crazy because I can never do it. There's guilt on both sides. It's harmony. This one flows, then this one comes in, and it's a dance. Sometimes I do it better than others. Sometimes their reading and spelling suffers, like in the last 3 months. Oh, yeah, and my spouse, right? So, Andrew, you can stand up. Yeah, Andrew, we don't do 50-50, we do 100-100, meaning when I'm not able to be there, he pulls 100% of the weight. If I'm working late, he cooks, he gets the kids from school, he helps them with their homework, and then vice versa, because we both work at the same place. When he's out, then I go the other way. So having that partnership really is the only way for my sanity that I've been able to do it. So, okay, I'm going to answer the rest of these questions. I'll just do a story and it will tag it. Those that I read your question, come up. And the first, you guys choose who you want to give this one to. This is the cool one.
Putting so much weight
I
on
know,
your
I
shoulders.
know. Congratulations.
anticipating
Okay,
so much weight.
well, thank you, and I'll answer more questions later. Okay.